If you guys remember last week, in a game where the Blazers were in Kelowna, the Blazers at the time were up 6-2. It was a bit of a blowout game, and honestly, it was expected. They beat the Rockets the night prior. The Rockets lost Nolan Foote in that game in Kamloops on Friday, so they were pretty ticked off, and then the fact that they were down 6-2, that just made it worse. So in that final 5 minutes, after a fight, I think with Zane Franklin, who initiated it all, then Kelowna got PO'd. Kelowna would then send out a bunch of their older guys. I remember Hamelick, I remember Connor McDonald, I think Matthew Wedman as well, or Matthew Wedman was the one who fought Zane Franklin. I can't quite remember exactly who was out there, but all that is important is you have to remember Kelowna was sending out older guys, and Kamloops at the time had out their fourth line that consisted of 16 and 17-year-old rookies, that being Caden Bankier, Dalen Kiefler, Reese Belton, Ethan Brandwood was even on the point. He's a 17-year-old defenseman. And right after that play was getting going for a little bit there behind the net, Caden Korzak starts getting into it with, I want to say, Bankier. And then an all-out line brawl would ensue. This line brawl would even include Roman Bosran, the Rockets goalie, and Dylan Gurand, the Blazers goalie, getting into it at center ice. Albeit that fight was a little bit more tame. You can tell the guys were just doing it for the show, I'd say a bit more. It still has some merit though. You know, goalie fights are always so rare to come by, and they are pretty entertaining, to say so myself. But the topic around this video is not about the fights itself. Matter of fact, it's actually the aftermath of what this fight has done to these 16 to 17-year-old kids, that being Bankier, Kiefler, Belton. It was not the right decision by the Rockets, I think, in hindsight. I mean, obviously you can't predict the outcome after something like this, but the Rockets being a team that really needs to step up against BC division opponents as of late, especially Kamloops, if they want to stay in contention for that top spot. This was a bad decision. This is a bad decision in hindsight, because that fourth line of 16, 17-year-olds has arguably been 5 times better than they were prior. I sadly ran out of paper on this notepad, but I got the little piece of cardboard that holds it together at the bottom, and I wrote on it. And I have the stats of the 16-year-olds before the fight and after the fight of that line brawl there. So first off, Caden Bankier, 16-year-old center. Before all this happened, I would say Bankier may have been the most talented out of all these 16-year-olds on this line. But before that, he had 1 goal and 4 assists in 34 games. After the fight, he's had 2 goals and 4 assists in 4 games, and he's drastically improved. He looks great out there, and especially in the couple of home games I saw versus Tri-City, albeit that being a weaker team, they still looked great. Dalen Kiefler, this was a guy at the beginning of the season I kind of had my woes with there. I didn't really see it, but I'd even say in the past month he's been extremely good. He's been a great fourth liner, a lot of great hits. He's going hard on the opponents. But in those first 25 games he played, he had 2 goals and 1 assist. And as you can see, 25 games, obviously he was one of the guys who's been getting scratched a little bit more often. But after, he's got a goal and 2 assists in these 4 games, and he's looked like a great physical presence out there. He's not afraid. His balance has improved through the roof, and I'd say that was his big problem. Early on this season, I always noticed he was falling down on the boards when he should have been up, working hard for the puck, but he has been crazy as of late. I've loved it. And then Reese Belton, this was the guy, he probably had the least amount of ice time out of all the Blazers. He's only played 23 games prior to the fight, and in those 23 games, he never even secured a point. But in his last 4 games, he's got himself an assist and his 2 first career goals. So he's got all 3 of his WHL career points in those last 4 games, and he has just been, getting in the slot a lot more. He looks a lot more confident out there with his abilities, to actually start playing a lot more physical and add a bit of offensive touch to all of that. And something else I also find kind of charming is that because Zane Franklin was kicked out of the game because he had the first fight and he was just sitting in the locker room waiting for everyone to come in and join him, but when he was seeing the 16 and 17-year-olds join him like 2-3 minutes later, and finding out that they were getting ejected from fights, he was extremely proud of them. I can't remember where I read it exactly, so I can't give you guys an actual link or any quotes of it, but I remember reading it somewhere. And obviously you're gonna have your captain, who's the leading scorer in the WHL right now, and he's being extremely proud of you. That's a big confidence boost and a half. And what makes this kind of more deadly is just the fact that I also got more on my list here. Since January, so much of the Kamloops depth has just been insane. Logan Stankoven's starting to find his way in the league. He's got 11 points in January. Josh Pillar's got 9 points. Stewart's got 8. Matthew Semenoff has 5. I'll even put it there. Semenoff is a 2022 draft prospect with a late 2003. Stewart is 19 years old, but still a great depth guy. He plays a hard game. He's got 8 points. Pillar is suitable for this year's draft. He's a great skater, and if he can add some offensive dynamics to that, I can see him going for 3rd round even. And then Stankoven, obviously one of the top 2021 draft prospects, starting to find his way in the WHL. It's finally great to see him start scoring at this pace like he was in, Major Midget last year with the Thompson Blazers. It's just awesome. Back to the Rockets though. Like, definitely you got to look at this in hindsight and you got to think, we may have messed up trying to fight these 16, 17-year-olds. I know that's a tough theory to get across, but look at what they've done. The stats don't lie on paper. After this fight, they have been exceptional for, the ice time they were given. Obviously versus Tri-City, they got to see a lot more ice time, and that's just another confidence boost to go on top of all that. But they have just been something else as of late. This team is starting to really gel. They've won 8 in a row. They're scoring like crazy, and I don't expect it to stop anytime soon. They take on Prince George, I think, twice this weekend, so that if they can beat them, unlike they did, like, I think a month or 2 ago, and they lost 2 in a row to them, hopefully they can get a few past Taylor Gauthier this time. But it is going to be exciting to see how far this Blazers team can go once the playoffs reach us in March. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little opinion I had on the Kamloops Blazers' young 4th line starting to step up on why I think it happened. Kelowna, I think you done messed up. Actually, Adam Foote, I think you done messed up, sending out your old guys to fight them. Plus, I didn't even mention a couple of those guys were even kicking the living hell out of some of those older guys. It was quite amusing to watch. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.